I have a legal show ostensibly, so let's talk about with a startup. What kind of legal issues, if I invent something and I want to, get it to the people, what kind of legal issues do I have to worry about in that situation?
Well, of course, you have intellectual property stuff, which is patents and related things. So sometimes you want to use a trade secret, not a patent.
I think
you also go ahead.
No, I was going to say it's a good thing for the people to know is that it's not an unusual question. I'm a lawyer, and I'm asking Scott, okay, what are some of the legal issues that startups have to deal with? One misnomer I think about lawyers is that people think that we know everything about the law. We all learn, I think much like engineers, you're a mechanical engineer. You don't know a lot about, let's say, aeronautical engineering, right?
You would not want me to build your airplane.
Right. I would not want you to build, because you are good in that one area of engineering. You don't know everything about engineering, just like I don't know everything about law. You yourself may know more about startup issues because you consult in those and deal with the lawyers in those scenarios. So what are some other things that people got to worry about in terms of, intellectual property is just kind of a fancy way of saying we want to make sure that we protect our idea and make sure no one else has done it before, right?
That's right. You're trying to... Often when you're a little guy, you have a new company or you've invented something, one of the hazards is that a large, well-funded company will see that you've identified a market that wants this new widget that you have, and then they put their resources on it and sort of beat you to the punch.
Gotcha.
So
and then also,
not only do you have to be careful about intellectual property, you also have to be careful about disclosure of that stuff to people as you're trying to get partners built and get it out to market.
So that actually you have enough time to protect it so that if someone does then duplicate what you do, you have a recourse in the courts.
That's right.
Okay, perfect.
Right. And actually, I think that's a really good point there that you've made, and that is, if you're in the intellectual property business, you're ultimately talking about the courtroom. And so you want to have somebody who's got the expertise to build your contracts, to build your patents and stuff like that in such a way that they will stand up really well. Hopefully you never get to the courtroom, but that's what you have to be playing courtroom games when you're writing your patent.
You have to worry about the aggressive trial attorneys like me that is what I am good at. And so you have to make sure, hey, we need something that will stand up in court if it does get into litigation, right? That's right.
We like to say, or I like to tell people, you want to make sure that you're thinking about Wade coming after you,
right?
Because that's important.
That doesn't happen very often, I think, but that is true. So okay, great. Now we're going to go to break here in a little bit, but when we come back, I'm going to want to talk to you about what can happen in terms of, let's say that I go to DuPont and I work for them and I invent something really, really cool. So I guess the question I'm going to have you answer when we come back is, do I get to keep the patent for that, or is that something that DuPont gets? Because I think it's interesting to know what happens in that situation. So we're going to go to break now, and you're listening to your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. I'm your host, Wade Skalsky, for Wade Beyond the Courtroom. Talk to you in a bit. Station AM 1220 KHTS. This is Wade Beyond the Courtroom. I'm your host, attorney Wade Skalsky. And when we went to break, we were talking to PhD Dr. Scott Evans. Scott, are you still with me?
I'm still with you.
Excellent. You didn't run away over the break.
I was thinking about it, but I didn't go.
So far, every guest that I've had on my show, people have told me that they should take over the hosting duties. So you're doing well on that. You're doing well. You're getting the thumbs up.
That's good.
All right.
We decided it was Scott Beyond the Velcro.
I like that.
Show, yeah.
Or Scott Beyond the Doctor.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyways. So Scott, before we left for break, I was talking a little bit about DuPont, and or for another example, I think it was maybe DuPont or 3M, the guy that invented the USB port. Are you familiar with that situation?
I'm not.
Okay, so this is something that I learned. I found really interesting is that the guy that invented the USB port, which is the when you plug your printer cable into the computer, if it's not wireless, or it's the one plug that plugs into everything from the charger to your phone to everything. The guy that invented that didn't get any extra money from it in terms of it's not his invention. He was captive to, I guess it was DuPont or 3M or whoever. Is that common for that to happen?
That's all based on the employment agreement that you have with your employer. So if you are working for DuPont, when you sign up to work for DuPont, you're going to sign an employment agreement, and inside that agreement is going to describe how the intellectual property you generate while you're working for them is handled.
So no, look, I know I'm a lawyer, and I know that yes, contracts, schmontracts, that guy, I'm sure he signed the contract that says he doesn't get any money from that. But don't we think we should? Every single human being on the planet using a computer uses a USB port. Don't we think maybe we should give him a little something extra for that, like maybe a dinner or a watch or something?
I think maybe there's an internet way of getting that kind of collective action going, but
like petitions.com or something.
Right, that's right.
Excellent.
No, but if your employment agreement says while you're working here, if you're working on electrical connectors and you design something that the intellectual property is owned by the company,
the
company probably should have was paying this guy, and maybe. They should have given him a larger bonus or something like that.
He does get the psychic benefit of when he's out at a bar or something being like, hey, how are you doing? I invented the USB port. I think that actually will be really helpful for his bar game. What do you think?
I haven't been in any bars where that might work, but there aren't any.
So, we've had you on for a few minutes now, and you actually, you're an engineer, you're a PhD, and you actually can put a sentence together. My experience is that the skill set for communicating with people sometimes for engineers isn't something that's highly valued. How does that come in play for you in your work, that your communication skills?
I feel like, in a couple decades more work that I will have a working knowledge of how to communicate with engineers.
You're very humble for someone that's a doctor. I also technically am a doctor. Mike, I don't know if you knew this, but I have a Juris Doctorate, so I can, if I want to, have people call me a doctor. But we always used to haze people in law school that decided to do that. Scott, how do you feel about that?
I really appreciate that you've hazed people who try to pull that.
Right, because I think you getting your PhD was slightly more involved than me getting my JD. I had to go to law school for 3 years and then take the bar exam. Why don't we, if I was wanting to tell someone how to get a PhD, how do you do that exactly? What's involved in that?
Having a morbid fear of the real world is a big part of it, or can be for some people. I think it's just a matter of you need to find something you are passionate about. So in my case, I was very passionate about learning how to take new technology and build products and things out of it, and I've always been interested in more mechanical things, so all of that stuff kind of fit together. And the last thing is that I actually got into a university that would have me. So I think that's kind of the combination, something you're passionate about, and you find a good fit with a particular school. And that it all comes together like that.
I'm grappling with this humility that I'm hearing from you. It's not something that I've experienced a lot in the long time that I've known you, and especially for most PhDs. So I think married life has mellowed you out a little.
Well, either that or the first time I'm talking on a radio show, I'm calm, but I think with a little practice, I can get more obnoxious.
I like it. Obnoxious is always good on radio. Mike, right? Isn't obnoxious good on radio?
It sells, yeah.
Okay, good. So I think
not as good as Velcro, but I mean, yeah.
Or I think USB. It's hoop and loop, Mike. We gotta steer clear of.
Yeah.
What'd you say, Scott?
Nothing.
Not hooks and ladders. Don't confuse that with that. So. All right, Scott. So let me ask you one quick question, kind of not legal related, not PhD related. You went to my alma mater, the University of Arizona. Do you remember the time that you were there?
Some of it, yes.
How are our Wildcats going to do this year on the basketball and March Madness?
Well, I like that they got a loss out of the way, earlier in the season. Historically, watching the Wildcats for the last couple of decades. When that happens, they're able to, kind of build on that and do better when March comes around. So,
well, I agree with you wholeheartedly, Scott. Well, listen, Scott, I want to thank you for coming on the show with me today. You will forever be the first caller-in guest ever for Wade Beyond The Courtroom. That is something that I think you should put on your resume and involve in all future contract discussions with DuPont. What do you think about that?
That's where my thinking is too. So I'm glad we're on the same wavelength.
All right, Scott, I appreciate it. Say hi to Kelsey and the kids for me, and thank you so much for being a guest today.
I'll do it. It was my pleasure.
So that was Scott Evans, Dr. Scott Evans. I'm sure that I will be taken to task for not calling him a doctor. So, Mike, you can see my strategy is to have people on the show smarter than me. The first week I had my wife on. The second week I had Dr. Scott Evans. And now I have you, cage match winner Mike.
Match winner,
That's
yeah.
right. That's right. Now, let me ask you this question, Mike. So do you have to fight a cage match again? Like, do all the sound guys get together over the
We
week?
all get together, yeah. We first go for coffee, and then we decide, and whoever orders the most food we drink is the one that gets put in the ring first.
I like it. And then you
So-
guy fight it out to see who gets to be the sound guy for Sunday.
Sound guy for Sunday, yeah.
Sunday, 10 to
And
10:30.
I pretty much have trumped everybody.
That's a prime.
I'm locked, yeah.
That's a prime spot, I think.
Oh,
Isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah, Sunday mornings, sure.
All right. Well, hit the
Yeah.
gym this week,
I have
man.
no
Get-
other plans on
get,
Sunday
get
morning.
ready. Stretch
Yeah.
out. Hit the gym for that. So. Well, listen,
right.
thank you so much for listening today. This is your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. This is Wade Beyond the Courtroom, and I am your host, attorney Wade Skalsky. Stay safe this week, and we'll chat soon.